Okay, Israel. Hope everybody is doing well today. Shalom, Kawakab, and his congregation in Guatemala, and the brothers and sisters who are getting taught, California all the way to Georgia. Hope everybody's doing well today. Shout out SOW family in Houston, Virginia, and Rochester. Hope y'all brothers and sisters doing okay. Also, we want to kind of jump right into class. I know this is like part 4. That's the goal is to sit back here and just overly saturate this concept, but I think there's enough information here to like finish things up the right way. The whole point of this class, we've been going into a lot of the negative aspects of how we counsel, the negative aspects of how we deal with one another, the negativity that comes from us when we teach and counsel. So it's important to bring the other side and the good and the positive attributes we're supposed to have when we counsel and teach one another. So that's why we've been kind of going into nauseam concerning this, because if we're going to tear down, like the scripture says in Jeremiah chapter 1, you have to tear down, destroy, and then do what?
Build up.
We have to build up. So we have to instruct individuals on how to properly counsel, how to properly teach, the right mentality you're supposed to be in when you're doing all these things. So that's going to be the goal we focus on today. 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 3. So we kind of went into 14 and 1 the last 2 weeks. Today we're going to focus on verse 3 and kind of extract as much as we can from this chapter. Okay? So let me see. Let's do that. I'm Matthew.
1 Corinthians 14 and 3. But he that prophesies.
So it says, but he that prophesies. And we explained the definition of prophesy last week. We explained that prophesying was really teaching and development, right? So when we're going to develop and teach our people, this is the spirit we have to be in. Read it from the top again.
1 Corinthians 14 and 3. But he that prophesied speaketh unto men to edification and exhortation and comfort.
So we're going to focus on those 3 aspects of what it takes to prophesy or teach in the right way. So if you're going to be teaching, you're going to sit back here and get this Bible and proclaim that your job is to develop and teach and be a quote-unquote counselor, your focus and your intention has to be on edification, exhortation, and comfort. Now, these are 3 words. As we're going to continue in this topic, we're going to realize these 3 words are all saying the same thing. There are 3 different ways to explain the same spirit we're supposed to be in when we are developing and teaching our people. So the first word that we're going to focus on out of verse 3 is edification. Everybody online, shalom. I just want to say shalom, everybody tuning in. So let's do this. Let's get edification. Kariah. We're going to do edify. We explained edification a little bit last week. I'm going to go into it a little bit more, provide as much clarity as possible. Let's do edify in 1828.
Edify, 1828, West Dictionary. To build, in a literal sense. To instruct.
So it's to build and instruct. It's important for Israelites to change our philosophy that we've had from our youth and actually from our inception many years ago. A lot of times, a lot of our people, I don't want to say that was the spirit that our elders or the original elders had, but it's the spirit a lot of us took and extracted from what we saw. And what we saw in regards to development was more about tearing down. Now, does that mean we're not supposed to correct? Does that mean we're not supposed to establish order and discipline? By all means, we're supposed to operate with order and discipline. But there is a difference between having destructive behavior, destroying a person's confidence, destroying a person's spirit. There's a difference between that and correcting and tearing down pride with the expectation of building somebody up right behind that. There is a difference. Because a lot of times We've gone into numerous classes about this, that Israel tears down because they're angry. Israel tears down because they're having a bad day. Israel tears down because they're going through things and they're stressed out. That's not the spirit that we're supposed to be teaching and counseling in. We're supposed to be teaching and counseling in the spirit of correcting and chastising, establishing a spiritual standard, while at the same time doing it with the intention that whenever this person figures it out and learns how to follow, then you can flood them with love and development. How many of us correct and chastise with the anticipation that if they listen, if they can finally see things the right way, then I can shower them with the love they need to keep building them up? Many times we don't teach and correct and chastise in that spirit. But that's what building a person is. That's what exhortation is supposed to be. Or I'm sorry, edifying is. Edifying is about looking for an opportunity to build somebody up. Looking for an opportunity to bring out the best and to bring out confidence in somebody. But it's almost like you have to deny and not allow a person's bad conduct to take precedence in their life long enough until when they start to make these spiritual adjustments, then you can bombard them with positive affirmations as to why doing things the right way is the best way to do things. So that's the thinking that we have to have if we are going to quote unquote prophesy unto men. If we're going to prophesy unto men, we have to prophesy with the edification, with the intention to edify, to build. Now there was another definition of edify that wasn't just a regular definition, a regular thesaurus or whatever. It said to construct a building, to strengthen morally, spiritually, and intellectually. Because that's really what our job is to do. Our job is not to just cut, and to keep showing people how lame they are. And how to keep showing people how they're not good enough. Because I think a lot of our people, when they're young, think that's what this is about. It's almost like, I got you. I got a verse to show you that you suck. You want to hear it? I got a verse to show you that you're not good enough. You want to hear it? Well, whether you hear it or not, I'm going to give it to you anyway. Oh, why don't you want to hear it? Oh, it's because you're proud. You see it? You see the setup?
Yeah.
Listen, do you want to willingly hear that you suck? And if you fight that, then let me explain to you why you suck even more, because you don't want me to hear. You don't want to hear how messed up you are.
And I have to pull this switch right here, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
1 Corinthians 3:9.
Nope, I'm all, that's part of the class, man.
Oh, I got a different one then. I got a different
You
one.
have to switch it up. It's right here. It's part of the setup.
Yeah, I get it.
Can I keep going, or you got it right off the top of your head?
I got it. I got it right here on the Googleizer.
The Google device, the Google machine.
Yeah, right here, bro. Ecclesiastes 18:27. Ecclesiastes 18 and 27.
That was a good catch, man. That was quick. That was quick right there. I thought I was gonna say, continue.
Ecclesiastes chapter 18, verse 27 reads.
I switched from the dunk to the finger roll. I didn't know what to do.
The post up. You go to the post up.
The post up.
Anyway, this is actually a great verse.
Right here. Can we get this?
Ecclesiastes chapter 18 and verse 27 reads.
And I prefaced the point to say a war stat. He said that this is not to say that the first elders were wrong and they made a mistake. And
Not that.
That's an immature processing of the truth. The truth operates in stages of development, because you can't give somebody we start with the law, right? And then we went to the principles of Christ. But you had to go through killing sheep and killing oxen and killing lambs and olive oil and
Olive oil.
Well, I mean,
awesome.
olive oil, crushed olive oil is
No, I get it. You're right.
It's a gradual evolution.
Can I give a good example?
Yeah.
You know, a great example of the evolution. Everybody wants to start off when Israel was on top with David. David and Solomon. Everyone wants to focus on that. We want to focus on the fact that we sat back here and made these ridiculous vows to destroy the Benjamites.
Uh-huh.
And then to sit back here and make it right, we told them this to go take our women without them knowing or wanting to, and it's taken. We just won't sit back and say nothing about it.
200
So if 15,000 women are missing after a parade, nobody's going to do an investigation about where they are.
No investigations.
Like, what the hell's going on? Nobody wants to talk about that.
Yeah.
Why is that an important explanation? Israel has to grow up and develop and evolve. And the nation has to evolve how they have to evolve. That didn't make no damn sense. It was a well-known festival where all the young virgins are going, just hanging out with their friends, that are dancing, listening to music. And then they let these rowdy-ass Benjamites go take them and come out the bushes and snatch them, never to be seen again. Never to be seen to their families. That was literally allowed.
That was a counsel that was given in ancient times.
That was a council of the elders. They said, listen, we're not going to do investigations. So if these bushmen go out here with their machetes and take these women, nobody's going to look for them.
They came out with dirty dreads and just came and just took them and grabbed them out and put them over their shoulders and they ran out.
And there's yelling and screaming and crying. And then you just, you know what, that's okay. We have to allow Benjamin to repopulate.
We haven't seen our families. We
have to allow the Benjamites to repopulate. So this is how we're going to do it. But we can't officially give them wives because we vowed the Most High not to do that. See that? So we had to grow up from those extremes to a well-polished, well-oiled machine of a kingdom that David and Solomon had to have. So this is never about attacking and looking down on the evolution of us at all. Yeah. This is about understanding it, getting the proper grasp of what the Most High was teaching us then. Learn from the mistakes, learn from what we did right or what we did wrong. Keep the good, adjust to the things that need to be tweaked. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. 8:27.
Come. Ecclesiastes chapter 18, verse 27 reads.
This is a pitfall of young officers and people in general. Read.
A wise man will fear in everything.
So a wise man will have an intense conscience and be aware of the Most High's thoughts at all times. You got to practice that mentality. Read.
And in the day of sinning, he will beware of offense.
And a man's going to be aware of. I'm not trying to make a mistake. We all don't want to make mistakes. We don't want to have any negative or regrets in our conscience. Mm-hmm. Read.
But a fool will not observe time.
And so, using this point for the conversation we're going into class-wise, a young man that's inexperienced will see elders cutting and checking and breaking the spirit. But they won't understand that it's a process. We're doing this point to get to this point. I got to cut this excuse or cut this mentality to mold this person to get to a higher level of thinking.
Yes.
But in the youth, including myself, that's what this is about.
Correcting and checking.
How skillful can I get at breaking the spirit? Then you look at it as we're breaking spirits. I got to break this spirit.
And then there's this pride that makes you think that you have the capacity to make a person change. How many new people came to the truth thinking you can change a woman? Thinking you can make this brother change.
Yeah.
That's laughable.
Yeah.
All you can do is be a good enough example and fight to keep bad examples away from a person and hope that this spirit grows up and sprouts up to be what you hope them to be.
Yes.
But when people start thinking they can control things, then their intensity of correction comes up.
Yeah.
Then that attacking and fighting spirit intensifies.
And that a lot of that is youth, because we think it's us. And if this person doesn't change, it's a reflection of us not being skillful, or I don't have the ability, or I'm not getting my props because I'm not breaking the spirit or fixing the spirit like I seen the elders do. Not knowing that they're strategically using scriptures to break a frame of mind to mold someone to a higher level of thinking.
This is not a verse. Well, it kind of is. But we look at building like building a physical, mechanical structure versus looking at building from an agricultural standpoint. From an agricultural standpoint, building is about making sure there's enough sunlight, making sure there's enough water. But are you sitting back here in the ground using all the mineral components necessary to sit back and break down this seed and create all of these buds and sprouting up buds from the seeds and creating actual growth yourself.
Knowing when to clip, knowing when.
Yeah. But I'm talking about, are you in control of the actual growth process of that seed?
No.
All you are doing is working on the ancillary things on the outside to hope and help this plant to grow. Like you can sit back here and plant things under a tree, but you might have to trim some of these trees so that light can come in, direct sunlight can come to the plants to actually assist in growth. But that's all you can really do. But that's what teaching is. You can make certain tweaks in how you teach, how you bring things out, the environment that you have this person in, but you can't control the growth and the speed of the growth. That's what building is spiritually. But we look at building like a mechanical thing. Okay, there's a car that's broken down. You went to the shop and you got that machine that says this is the problem. You go on YouTube, you see the instructions, and you physically do it. We think that's how you develop men and women and children, and that's not how you do it. Because you don't allow the Most High to intervene and intercede in the development. If we can understand building in the form of agriculture, then you realize it's not about you really at all. Yeah. The only thing that makes you important is your example. But that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to use our works and our example every day in hopes that the byproduct of our sacrifice might bring about this person's best attributes. Because the only thing to really bring out and nurture good attributes is for that spirit to be around people that have good attributes themselves.
As well.
Because the more bad habits that you bring to the table, you're just going to nurture bad habits in them. But that is what building looks like. And that's what teaching is. People also think prophesying or teaching is just about how charismatic you are. It's not about necessarily charisma or how book
dynamic
savvy you are. Because you got some Israelites that don't read books. They're going to sit back here and do a whoop-de-wop and do a whoopity-whoop and give you whatever little savviness and hype and energy. They're going to smile and be charismatic and yuck to get you to sit back here and do what they want. Or you get the bookworm. Both of those approaches don't develop people. But you need both, along with a good example, to give your student the best possible way to grow. Because the person that's just savvy, you know what he can't do? He can't inspire a person that's cerebral. So now you're limited in the customers and the people you can develop. And the person that's just book savvy can't inspire the person who is inspired by spirit and charisma. So if you want to be a good tool to be used for the Lord, you got to tap into both. Not just what you're good at. So if you really care about teaching, you'll work on things you're not good at so you can be of a greater service to the people that you're responsible for. You ever sat back here and tried to give somebody some whoop-de-wop, some NIGGA hustle? But this person was actually read books for a living and don't buy your lame angles?
Gotcha, got blown up.
Yeah, I mean, Israelites sit back here and talk about every angle they use about the Bible comes from street rhetoric. Street rhetoric is not going to teach somebody that ain't from the street. How about that? And then all you going to say is, oh, this person's soft. Oh, this is a schoolboy. No, they just respond to people who read books.
They're not stimulated by that angle.
Talking about the trap instead of rocks.
Yeah.
And slave ships every 5 minutes. So what's the answer? Is that bad for everyone? No. Some people respond and feed off of that. But you got to be all things to what?
All men.
So that you may win them. So development and growth is about how well-rounded you are. So if you really care for people, work on fixing you versus trying to force a person to see things how you look at things. That's what edification is. Yes. God, just one. I don't want a long information. Just give me one hit, or I don't want like a chapter, bro, or like 7 verses.
Like 2 verses.
Okay, that's fine.
Give me John 21. St. John 21 and verse 17 and 18. Because what hit me was what Christ meant by feed my sheep. We're gonna read that story real quick.
Okay.
And then something else, even the definition of feed. Definition 6, once we get to the point. Read that, verse 17.
John chapter 21, verse 17. He saith unto him the third time, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me?
Christ kept asking Peter the same question. Do you love me? Do you love me, Simon? Simon said, read.
Peter was grieved because he said unto him the third time, lovest thou me? And he said unto
He
him,
said, why you keep asking me this question? You know I love you. You know I'm serving to you. I'm service to you. I'm here for you. I gave my life for you. I sacrificed for you. Why do you keep asking me this question? Keep reading.
And he said unto him, Lord, thou knowest all things. Thou knowest that I love thee.
He said, how much more do I have to lose to show you that I love you, God? Read on.
Yahweh shall say up unto him, feed my sheep.
He said, feed my sheep. Give me feed in verse point 6.
Feed. 1828. What's the dictionary? Point number 6. To keep in hope or expectation.
He says, when he means by feed, you're supposed to keep the people in hope and expectation.
That's a little early to the point, but that's all right.
I didn't know.
It's okay. It's a little. We're getting there. We'll get there.
Okay.
It's a little early, but it's cool. I got it. You're good.
Let's clarify.
No. That's a great definition.
But what I'm saying is, because the verse clarifies it even more.
Yeah.
What does it mean to keep someone in hope or an expectation? What does Christ mean when he says, feed my sheep? Read the next verse.
Verse 18.
Now we're going to give an analysis on what that looks like. Keep reading.
Verily, verily, I say unto thee, when thou wast young, thou girdest thyself, and walkest whither thou wouldest.
Either when you were young, you had the strength to do what you wanted. You had the strength to lead your own life. You had the strength to stand tall yourself without the guidance or needing of other people. He says, but keep this in remembrance. Just like when you were young, you didn't need anybody, one day you will need somebody. And how do you want to be treated when you're of age, where you can't walk and act and roll by yourself? Read on.
But when thou shalt be old, thou shalt stretch forth thy hands, and another shall gird thee, and carry thee whither thou wouldest not.
He says, when you're older, there's going to be someone carrying you where you wouldn't not, where you couldn't take yourself. What comparison is Christ making now to Simon? Because when you're feeding sheep, you're going to be carrying individuals that couldn't lead their life spiritual without you. Which means what? I need patience. We didn't want an elderly individual. You have to have patience to deal with that elderly individual. I can't just be upset and get vexed at them when they can't eat on their own, or they can't shower on their own, or they can't think or process on their own. I got to repeat things over and over and over again. Because the same level of patience, concern, and attention that you would want for someone when you're at older age is the same level of attention, concern, and love you need to have for my children. That's what it means to feed my sheep. That's why he gave the analysis. He says, when you're older, read that part again.
Come. But when thou shalt be old, thou shalt stretch forth thy hands, and another shall gird thee, and carry thee whither thou wouldest not.
The same way you're going to need help when you get older is the same way you're going to have to lead men that need your help. Because there's constantly going to be those that can't lead or go or lead a spiritual life without a spiritual guide.
To be specific, what vexes men the most is that people can't do their job unless you're physically there.
Yeah. Yes.
Because that's what the older person needs.
Okay.
An older person literally needs a physical person right there
Walking
to assist them to making their. Can you take me my medicine?
Okay.
Can you sit back and take me to the store? Can you help me do all these things because it can't be done without another person's presence? This is what kills men. Frustrates them with their wives. You can't get nothing damn done unless I'm here.
Okay.
That's either that's the woman that you chose. That's the circumstance that you chose to be around. And hell, this was the job we chose as teachers. Everybody says they want to teach, but they only focus on a small aspect of teaching.
Okay.
Dropping information. That's the easy part. Teaching is really about your physical presence and essence of being there.
You know, it's crazy. We had a situation today where it was a delivery where it's supposed to be no more than maybe 5-minute delivery. And what happened is there were 2 teams that came before us. and they came in the house and said, you know what? This function is not going to work. This machine can't be set up because you're missing a piece. And they left the house. So we had 2 deliveries, 2 weeks gone by. Lady had no drive because the people didn't take a half second to realize, oh, you're missing the proper plug. Can you get the proper plug? So I walk in and say, hey, you're missing the proper plug. And she almost started breaking down. This is the 3rd time you guys said you couldn't set it up. Why is no one giving me information about what plug I need? So I had to sit down. I had to write it out for him. She was an older lady. I had to write it out for her what to say. And she looked at it and says, what does this even mean? I said, okay, then I'm going to call Home Depot for you. And I got to call Home Depot and explain, hey, she needs X, Y, and Z for her delivery. And that still wasn't good enough. So then I had to write the information down again on the notes so that I said, all you got to do is tell them to read the notes. So when they read the notes, I know exactly what to do. But that process went from a 5-minute delivery to a 35 minute.
And that's why you got home late from work.
that's
the other side of it.
And then that's it. You lose you. You lose more time.
But somebody else benefits.
To be a greater servant.
If you want to be a teacher. Because everybody wants to study and knowledge because the unfortunate reality, we want to teach so our ego can be boosted. But when you realize that charity edifies, you losing in your presence to help somebody who needs your assistance is what teaches you.
Yeah.
And that's how you learn what teaching is really about and development is really about. And that's how you build people up. You build people up. And that's why it says the greatest amongst you must be the greatest servant.
Yeah.
Because you have to physically be there until they tell you they don't need you no more.
Yeah.
That's what development looks like. Their actions and their motivations. And there's a lot of times we want to tell somebody boom, boom, boom and leave. The way you develop a person is you're there until they say, I got it.
Yeah, I got this.
I don't need you anymore. Appreciate it. That's when you leave. But people want to sit back here and train so that they don't got to be stressed out with you no more. They don't want any more burden on their life. Israel is constantly looking to alleviate burdens versus accepting the burden until your student literally tells you that they got it. That takes way longer than your anticipation is.
Yeah.
But if you understand that, then you won't be snapping and attacking the person that ain't ready yet. Because you're going to be on their time, not on your time. That's what building and developing is all about.
And it keeps you humble.
God.
Because I can't be prideful in having to walk children through life. Their entire adulthood.
God. And that's what this is
and
about.
You're doing it over and over. And every generation.
Because that's the point. Well, I'm going to wait as long as I got to because after you got somebody else to do.
Yeah.
And after the next person, I got somebody else to sit back and wait on until they're ready. That's your life. How about you're never going to not be waiting for somebody to develop on their time?
Yeah.
If you actually love serving Christ.
And that kills the spirit of looking for breaks.
And that kills the ego. You're going to be going from person to person, developing them until they're ready.
Yeah.
And then going to the next person, developing them until they're ready. Until they're built, until they tell you through their actions and their conduct that they're ready. That kills all your little aspirations. And that's how you know, if you're in that spirit, you can truly help them and build them up. You good on that?
Yeah.
Now let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 9 through 15.
God. 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 9. For we are laborers together with the Most High.
This whole teaching thing, this whole camp thing, is how the Most High has us. Teach us how to be laborers together with the Most High. You have your students, you have your shepherds, or you have your stewards. Their job is to administer this word and to administer development. Read on.
God. Ye are the Most High's husbandry.
So, to answer my question earlier, or my statement, the scripture does say that the Most High's husbandry is the Most High's building. And he explains building through the position of agriculture and husbandry. That's how he explains how we develop people, through a husbandry process. We are all a part of this building process. The Most High is the head of it. He's the one that sits back here and gets the increase. But based on how well our example is, we allow the Most High's increase to flourish with less obstacle, flourish with less interventions. What we don't want to be is with such poor examples. There's got to be this rose that grows from the concrete. And the concrete is our negative example.
I'm growing despite
the ghetto.
your flaws.
I'm growing despite food stamps. I'm growing despite a one-parent household. I'm growing despite a lack of education around me. That's what our poor example ends up being amongst the nation. Yeah, I got a kid, but my daddy wasn't rolling. I was a good kid, straight A student, but my dad was a Rolling Stone. My mom was on drugs, chasing men. That's a lot of our people's history, but that's no different. Oh yeah, my teacher, he was an angry guy, and he got pissed off when I wasn't on point, or he was inconsistent in how he rolled. He was kind of hypocritical, but despite his hypocritical nature, I was still able to sit back here and see the Most High in a pure light.
And put together.
You want to sit back here and be that guy? You want to be that concrete that gets in the way of growth? So the real question is, if you really give a damn about teaching, are you going to be the concrete? Or are you going to sit back here and be that person that allows the soil to be as fertile as possible and all the conditions around that plant to grow with impeccable strength and consistency? What type of leader are you? You see how we want to look at it like, oh yeah, I'm teaching him, he ain't listening. I dropped this information, he ain't locking in. We look at it completely wrong. What are you doing to impede his or her growth? How was your attitude getting in the way of this person's growth and the lessons they need? How am I getting in the way of them seeing the Most High's will? That's how you allow people to grow. Read on.
1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 9. For we are the laborers together with the Most High. Ye are the Most High's husbandry. Ye are the Most High's building. According to the grace of the Most High, which is given unto me as a wise master builder. I had laid the foundation, and another builded thereon.
So he's like, Christ will lay the initial foundation. Paul sat back here and laid another foundation that was not the exact same, but in the same spirit of Christ's building. And those two men's example is the foundation that we're supposed to be building and learning how to develop people. Because that's what the foundation is. Not Christianity. It wasn't the lesson. The lesson was how to properly develop your nation. How to properly fix the issue that continues to recycle itself from generation to generation, from leadership approach to leadership approach.
Which is, the goal is perfection of judgment. When you read the scriptures, you're reading every generation. You're looking at the judges' time period. There was a skill. There was those that were just shined above other judges. You had the king time period. You had certain kings that their judgment shined above others.
And most of them were bad examples.
In judgment.
Then you had your Levite priest.
Yeah.
And then they got corrupted. Then you had your specific line of the Hasmoneans. And then that got corrupted.
Yeah.
So then Christ, like, this is the foundation I want all development to be based upon. It still goes back to the development of the husbandry.
Yeah.
The development of the nation.
Yeah.
And this is the way I want it done. And then Paul came behind it and said, this is further building on the way that I want men developed.
I'm tracing Christ's process. Scripture says, a wise man hears a word, right? And then he does what?
Adds unto
it.
Adds unto it. Are you changing the word? Or are you adding your successful experience to the root concept you were given in the very beginning?
And all Paul is explaining, why was Paul a master builder? Because he mastered how to build the flock of the Most High. He mastered the perfect example on how to build students in Christ. There were other people during his time that built also. They just weren't master builders. What made Paul a master builder and the other teachers and leaders less than master builders? It was very simple. Paul gave himself nothing out of the deal, because any personal pursuit could be perceived as a reason for a student not to see the word of Christ in its purest form. So to be a master builder, was it really about how skillful he was with his words? Because Paul himself said, though I be rude in speech, yet not knowledge. So it wasn't how perfect of an orator he was. His perfection was in how well he eliminated his ego and his personal pursuits while simultaneously developing people.
Yeah.
That's what made him perfect. That's what made him a wise master builder. Because he was allowed to sit back here and eliminate all of his ambitions and make everything he did solely based upon what another person needed. So as he's doing that, read verse 10 again from the top.
1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 10. According to the grace of the Most High, which is given unto me as a wise master builder, I have laid the foundation, and another buildeth thereon. But let every man take heed how he buildeth thereupon.
So he's like everybody else that takes Christ's word, that takes Paul's understanding, takes the law and the prophets and David's psalms and all that good stuff. You better be careful of how you build on top of this husbandry. You better be careful and really consider how well you take this information and choose to develop other people with it. And you better learn from Christ's example and Paul's example how to be selfless and how to remove your ego in order for your words and your teaching and the people that you develop to sit back here and grow as properly as they possibly can. We can't control what people do, but we can help fight to control the environment in which they grow in. We can control our conduct and our presence. I remember sitting back here. The people have done scientific experiments on your attitude to plants. Mm-hmm. And when you sit back here and talk negative to certain plants, yep, and then you talk affirming information to certain other plants, the plant that gets talked to with love and respect grows stronger than the plant that you sit back here and talk down to and speak hateful and give hateful energy to.
Yep.
So if that's the case to plant life, do you think it's any different to actual human beings?
And
if you build your relationship with your wife or your brother just talking negative to them all the time, you're not going to get the most out of that person's spirit. Even if you do pull 1,000 verses, who gives a damn? Your attitude and how you talk to people, how you are around a person, literally determines how well a person grows.
And it's vibration, because you're dealing with plants are made of water, cells are made of water, earth is so much water, and the physical body is what? 80% water. So when you're dealing with vibration, the reason why the plant responded differently is because the plant cells are made of water. So when you're speaking negative on the vibration of that plant, it's affecting the molecular structure of the water in that plant cell. And that's why it affected the plant's growth. So you can look at different sounds and different vibrations. They put sand, and the vibration on the sand forms a certain shape based off of whatever music or vibration the person's in. When you hear it, the vibration creates a certain pattern, and you can see the pattern, the physical pattern from each process. So when you're in a pattern with a person, the pattern of the vibration that you're in has a molecular effect on the person's mind, body, and soul, because your body's physically made out of water. So when you read the scriptures, you're supposed to be cleansing people's spirit. So what we're saying is scientifically, factual information.
And but people don't realize that is more important than all the verses you can pull. The intention behind your communication. How you are when you're presenting the information is damn near more important than the verses you pull. This is why you can see Cap Israelites a mile away when they counsel and communicate with sarcasm and negativity behind their words, but they'll say, well, I'm pulling verses. I'm teaching you. You're going to sit back here. I'm giving you scriptures. Why can't you sit back? Why can't you see the purity of the message? Well, why can't you be a better teacher? Why can't you detach the negative in you to convey the message the right way so it's easier to be consumed? Yes, sir.
It's sad that we have to use planned experiments to identify the impact of negativity.
Yep.
Because we're too cold-hearted to see how we affect people.
Exactly. We have to sit back here and use the white man's knowledge. Just to sit back here and find another way to teach us that we're hateful. That we will teach the Bible with venom and hatred and disgust behind it. Because we're just tired of repeating ourselves. Like we're something that's that damn important. We're not that important. But that's the point. So he's like, you better be careful about how you choose to build on top of the methods that Christ and Paul and great examples have laid out for us to follow. We're supposed to be following their templates to the T. But what we do is we'll pull a scripture here, pull a scripture there, and manipulate it. We'll sit back and pull a verse here, pull a verse there to get what you want. To get what you want. This is why Paul made it clear in his teaching and method, it was never about what he was getting out the deal. He drove that concept because that's how you are learning how to be careful in how you build. It's no different. And I'm not pointing anybody out. Back in the day, brothers used to sit back here and just get multiple ribs because they just needed money. Remember those days? I need more money, just get you another rib. It's lawful. Just because it's lawful doesn't mean it's right. And then in the midst of you getting more money, you think that person don't realize you don't really give a damn that much about them? I've heard brothers say, yeah, I gotta drink me some alcohol, man, and go home and deal with this issue. Like, damn, you gotta get sauced up. I'm explaining things that brothers would tell me in the 90s. I gotta get liquored up just because I gotta deal with this one. Now it's rib number 3 or 4.
Well, that means
or 5.
That means that
Seriously,
how we initiated the interaction, how we initiated the process, started on impure grounds.
that's the point. Because the intention behind it was just to come up and pad your bank account. Because I'm a child of God and I need to survive. That was the thinking for a long time. If a man's going to take a second rib, he's got to be willing to sit back and deal with all the ups and downs. And deal with that person like he did with the other person. If not, then what are you doing it for? Why are you choosing the second rib? And you know damn well why you're doing it. And the person that you chose knows it too. So once again, that's why 1 Corinthians 3 and 10 is like, take heed on how you're building on this foundation. Take heed on how you're using these scriptures to develop people. And make sure you're not doing it to get what you want out the deal. Make sure your choice is based off of servitude and not manipulation and gaining something. You understand?
The desire for a better transaction is the problem. Because Israel is very transactional.
And you can't be that way.
And develop people the right way. You can't be transactional and develop people properly. Because in the end of the day, if you're really doing the right transaction, the correct transaction is you are losing.
That's the point. Because it says charity edifies. You're built by how skillful you've become at giving. That's how the teacher grows. We're going to that in a second. Let's continue.
1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 11. For other foundation can no man lay than that is laid, which is Yahushua.
Meaning this, the only foundation that's going to be acceptable is Christ's foundation. Many men are going to sit back here and lay their own foundation and do it their way. This is why I come across a lot of Israelites, they want to do things their way. I got to do it my way, dog. Just because you do it your way, if it's not Christ's way, then guess what's going to happen? It's going to fail. It's going to end up turning out to be sadness, failure, plans are going to go awry,
It won't be honored.
it's not going to be honored. Just because you do it a different way and you're confident in it, if it's not Christ's way, and Paul's, because Paul followed Christ's way, it's not going to be acknowledged and accepted.
And the scripture
And,
says,
it's not accepted because the intention behind it is impure.
Right.
The intention behind it is more about gain than loss. It's more about gain than building somebody else up. Read on.
Fine. Verse 12. Now, if any man build upon this foundation.
And when you read verse 12, he's saying there's different calibers of commitment towards your student. There's gold work, there's silver, there's precious stone, wood, hay, and stubble. So there's 6 different levels of what you can commit to the flock. So if we're going to look at it numbers wise, the wood, hay, and stubble, the bottom 3 tier, in Christ's eyes, it's the bottom 3 tier because how you're developing other people, you're getting the better end of the deal. If you're getting the better end of the deal, then it's wood, hay, and stubble. It won't be accepted. If you're not getting the benefit of the deal, then you have a possibility of being precious stones, silver, and gold. Yes, sir.
What do you mean by the better end of the deal? Like if I'm getting the better end of the deal?
Time, resources.
Like
When you're developing, if it's a wife, or a brother, or a student,
what am I extracting?
what am I extracting versus what I'm putting into it? That's the better end of the deal.
For example, you go to a job, right? And I had a work history back in the world for a little while.
You know what?
I had a work history. For a
Okay,
while. I was working.
I just slow down. I was going fast. I didn't hear what you meant.
It's been a long time since I had a job.
A Jake job.
A Jake job, bro. And I was sitting here. I'm at
Yeah,
SeaWorld.
yeah.
And I'm in the
SeaWorld
sun,
story. Awesome.
sweating, burning up, and they got me. And I'm working with money, and they're like, "Listen, this guy ain't doing his job right. Have him work with the horses. I'm working with the horses.
You cleaning? You picking up poop, right?
I'm not picking up poop. They're just crapping, and I'm on the register where they're crapping. So you got to smell them all day. And you're waiting for somebody to come in and buy keychains, Anheuser-Busch keychains.
You a keychain man?
I'm selling my
Awesome,
keychains out, and I'm like, I could be in the shade, which is a lot more shade. A little sun's hitting me, but I used to got smell this caca. You know what I'm saying? So that job was cool. I burnt up, and then I look up. I got in the job down the line, and I worked at the Hyatt Hill Country Hotel. So now I'm working next to the bar where they sell all the food.
Hey.
So I'm working. I'm like, oh, this is. I'm like, I'll put it in the back. I'm gonna clean it. I'll put it in the. I'm just eating in the back. I'm working. I'm getting tips too. I'm getting tips. Oh, let's get tips. I'm going in the back, and then going in the freezer. They got the banana. They got the banana pudding right there. I'm hitting the banana pudding. I was a rat at the job.
Isn't that stealing? You're
Listen,
stealing
bro.
the banana pudding.
Someone can throw it
They're
anywhere.
selling that. They're
Listen,
selling
there's
that
Jell-O.
for profit. That was a for-profit business.
There's Jell-O. There's pudding. And then they got filet mignon. So I'm going to go back and clean it. Let me go ahead and clean all of this food over. There's a lot of food to clean. Filet mignon on the back. Man, I love this job. Now, I'm getting a benefit. I don't need the money. I don't care about the paycheck. Because guess what? I'm eating good all day. I'm eating filet mignon all day. I mean, filet mignon all day. I wouldn't eat this normally. I'm not eating this on my own. My regular meal is filet mignon every day. I eat filet mignon every day. I'm getting the best. They're cooking fresh wings, and somebody don't want it. Yo, they don't want the wings. They're mad about it. Oh, don't worry, I got it. I'll fix it. Listen, I'm getting a major benefit,
right.
And then I get a paycheck too, and tips.
Yeah,
I'm winning. But I'm working for $7.34 an hour in the sun. And I'm giving my soul to this job.
at SeaWorld, right?
At SeaWorld. I'm listening to 80s music all day before I start liking It's the same music at the same time you're in prison. I was like, at 10 o'clock they will play this song. At 12 they will play this song. At 1 they will play this song. Like they don't change the playlist. It's just the same playlist every single day. And you're out there burning the sun and you're getting paid $7. And guess what? You made $30, maybe 35 that day. You won, bro. Then I gotta walk home. I gotta jump the fence, catch a bus, and get my tail home. Whereas the other job, I get picked up. You see, there's perks. One job, there's more money and perks, and I'm eating like I'm a fat rat at the job. The other job, I'm burning up. I'm getting $35 a day, 30
And
bucks
you
a
smell
day,
caca all day.
and I'm paying taxes, and then I'm smelling caca. They're both work, but who's winning? I'm winning at the hotel. I'm losing at SeaWorld. I thought, oh, look all these. They have Ferris wheels. That's why you don't care about that.
But it's more.
But this is the issue. Israel is the king of saying work what, not what. Work smarter, not harder. But who else talked that way? Jacob when he was young. Jacob was all about being a supplanter. That's really Israel's what? Our nature is to finesse and supplant
And win.
and in every endeavor that we have to gain more than we lose. But in order to be a prince of power, that part of you got to die. To be a prince of power, you have to lose more than you gain. And if you can embrace the mentality of losing more than you gain, and in order to lose more than you gain, you're not losing for nothing. You're losing because you're investing more into somebody than what you're getting.
In return.
Because in me investing more into the spirit, that means they're more equipped to please the Heavenly Father.
Right.
That's the greatest gift you can get. So in me giving more to a person than what I'm getting, that is the spiritual play. Now we're supposed to do is give good to the godly man. We're supposed to do this to the godly person or the person who's trying to change, obviously. But the concept in life is about what? Our natural personality is to come out of a deal getting something more than what we've given. But that was the carnal side of us. That's the carnal man. The spiritual man understands that being the prince of power is more about what I'm going to give up, and that has to be greater than what I'm getting out of this person. And if that's the focus, that's how I've taken heed of how I'm going to build on top of this foundation of Christ. Because didn't Christ lose more than he gained? What did Christ get from his service on earth? What did he gain outside of salvation? He got some oil on his feet. And his top guys said, man, don't do that. Well, we can sell that. All Christ got was some oil on his feet.
But what could a guy be getting out of teaching somebody? I mean, what could he be getting out of teaching somebody where he's gaining instead of losing?
I'm gonna say this. A lot of things. Israel sits back here and counsels and teach to gain what they want to get out of the deal. Unfortunately.
Or the transactional part, like
Yes.
if I spend time to teach
You know Israel always says, if I give unto you spiritual things,
Yeah.
shall I not get your carnal?
It's like a predatory loan.
Oh, hear me out.
Come.
People pull that verse all the time and never read the verse afterwards.
should I not get your what?
Carnal.
Oh.
The scripture in Corinthians says, if I sow unto you spiritual things, shall I not reap your carnal? And Paul said, he said that verse, and the next verse says, but I didn't do that to you. Nobody read that verse. I'm like, how nobody reads the other verse? They pull that verse to justify getting something out the deal. But the next verse said, other guys, other leaders, other teachers do that, but I don't do that to you. That is how his foundation was able to justifiably be put alongside of Christ's foundation. Because both of those men's example was consistent and set upon, they get more than me. And everything I get, I earn.
Okay,
You get that point?
I see.
Because our people, we still want to operate with this servant benefactor relationship.
Yes.
Because the scripture hold on, Mom. Some people talk about how the heads of society are referred to as benefactors. He said, that's not the relationship I'm having with you. Christ said that.
Yep.
He said that in the world, there's benefactors and servants. He said, but I'm the benefactor and I'm serving you. This is the example you're supposed to follow if you're going to build with me. Does that make sense?
Right.
And he said, if that is the foundation of what development and building with the Most High's husbandry is, then that means the person in the Most High's eyes that produces gold work, silver, or precious stones work is predicated on how selfless you are and how others gain more out of these spiritual relationships than the individual that's doing the majority of the work or the majority of the heavy lifting. That's how you produce higher level work. But a lot of us produce low level work because our thinking is still about the come up. We still roll like Jacob and have not brought ourselves into the mindset of being Israel. Yes, my word.
I was just gonna say, for example, you got other camps out there that charge for consultation,
Yes.
that charge for counsel, that sit back here and
Okay.
gain.
And I'm looking at it real shallow because you're right. There are people that be doing it for money, and that's everywhere.
And then brothers, and then on an individual level, you got guys writing books about how to keep 4 or 5 ribs. It's the truth. Remember that there's a guy that wears all these colors, like wears jackets. He's smiling with Jordan, like, this is how you get all these ribs, so you can come up.
Yeah.
What do you think you're doing it for?
What's about the nation?
You don't have no camp.
for the nation.
I'm just single-handedly bring this one tribe back. You're right. They're not no camp. They don't got to submit themselves to nobody. But it's this big love. I've been saying there's rib camps. There's a lot of people that do rib camps, and they want to pimp people and try to make money by teaching people how to get a bunch of women to serve them.
How to extract off.
So I'm going to extract money off these women, and I'll make money off people that are hungry to get more women so they don't got to pay no bills themselves. All masked under the Bible.
And Christ,
Because I got scriptures and it's lawful.
and Christ dealt with that
Right?
spirit. Christ dealt with that spirit, the exchangers, the money exchangers in the temple. He said, my house is not supposed to be a den of thieves.
Yeah.
What is that? What is that den of thieves? You're saying, come to the temple. Let's exchange these monies and exchange these different things you need. I'm going to sell you
The money exchanger was this.
Yeah.
Okay. You're coming from Egypt. The market value of the Egyptian whatever is this. When you come to the temple, it's 1.5 of that per $1. Because we have temple coins.
Right.
So the temple coin is $1 more than the coin that's in your country. So the Roman coin is a certain amount of money, but to get the temple coin, I need $2 to your $1.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, the temple makes money because we're just flipping this change. But because you can't give an offering to the temple unless it's brought in the temple currency. Not even the nation, not even Israel, the nation's currency. It's the temple currency. And if every Jew all around the world is coming to bring an offering and sacrifice, you can't bring in any of your money. You got to bring in the temple's money. But the temple's money, you're going to make a profit off of every dollar that goes in, and you'll be given, for every $3, I'll give you 1 coin.
And you're going to be given
What's the price of that?
tithe or whatever.
But it's going to be off of that.
Right.
So, okay, even if I want to freely give $1,000. So that means the temple made $3,000. They made 3 racks.
Right.
See the hustle?
Wow.
That's the money exchanges. I'm sorry, I just want to explain the money exchanging system. The thinking is, I'm going to make something off the top of what you're giving for free.
It's impure. It's an impure.
But that's the thinking of our people. That's how we think. We call him his hustling, man. He's hustling, trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. What does that mean? If I got 15 cents, I want to make $1. Somebody's losing. Somebody's getting taken advantage of. Say you can make 85-cent profit, and you do it with a smile. I'm just hustling, man. I'm just trying to feed my or I'm just out here on the street selling rocks so I can feed my daughter. Remember Biggie said that? I'm like, damn. You selling drugs and destroying your people so you can feed your daughter?
If I don't do it, someone's gonna do it.
I'm like, man, remember that Juicy song?
Yeah.
They're around the pool in the mansion. Yeah, I know I sold rocks, but I was trying to feed my daughter. to take care of my kid. That makes it right. Exploiting your nation. To sit back here, I got to take advantage of somebody, or MCA. I got to get mine. So I'm what?
I'm
I'm gonna take yours. Just call me the come up kid. What are you talking about? Huh?
Even though I slow
Hard
down.
times making it in the CPT.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? Huh?
Yep.
So because you got hard times, now I got to sit back here and take somebody else.
Yep.
But that thinking, we take that thinking from the streets and bring it into the Bible. And bring it into a spiritual lifestyle and wonder why the Most High blows on that thinking. Because he's going to say, all these people that build their foundation off of one-sided approaches, the Most High burns up their work. That's why wives leave, brothers leave, work of your hand leaves. It's going to explain in a second. Let's continue.
All right. 1 Corinthians chapter 3.
Verse 12.
And verse 12. Now if any man build upon this foundation gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, stubble.
And we explain the different calibers. The higher caliber of work is based upon more is invested into the people and less comes to you. And as you go down to the lowest, which is stubble, more is about you. It's more about you than with the body. Read on.
Verse 13. Every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it.
The day shall declare what was your intention behind your development. What was your motivation behind your development? Because you know, the person can sit back here and cap with their counseling for only so long. Most I will sit back here and pair you up with somebody who needs patience, needs you to be merciful, and needs you to give them time. But if you're not in it to give time, then the Most High will reveal that you were not about development anyway. This is why relationships go bad. The husband's patience goes bad. It only goes bad because you weren't in it to wait and develop anyway. You were only in it to extract. So the time reveals that you were really about you and not about what it took to develop somebody else's spirit. Read on.
1 Corinthians 3 and 13. Every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire.
Fire, affliction, trouble. You can tell a person if they're really about development, if they can keep developing during difficult times. Can you keep developing and giving to somebody when you're getting nothing out the deal? Like if the person that you chose to help you no longer has a job and no longer is in a capacity to help you, are you going to still give to them like when they were given and had the capacity to give back to you? That goes for wives, children, brothers, the whole nine. Because the fire just reveals, can you really learn how to give for free? That's what teaching is all about. Giving for free. Giving knowing you won't get nothing out the deal. That's gold caliber work. But a lot of us all of a sudden get more angry, get more snappy, get more frustrated when you realize this is a sinking ship and you can't get nothing out the deal. Just to teach. That eats people up. When nothing about your ego is nurtured. But let's continue. We're just getting started, man.
Every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire, and the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is.
What sort of work?
Yeah.
Is it
What
selfless?
is
Is it selfish?
Yeah.
Is it ego-based? Or is it truly sincere and truly only focused on the development of the next person? Fire will determine that. Read on.
Freely that we receive.
Freely as you give. Freely do you give. People don't look at it that way. It's freely get, tax to receive. No, it's freely you receive, tax to give.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro.
That's what it is. Read on.
Verse 14. If any man's work abide, which he hath built thereupon, he shall receive a reward.
You'll get a reward from the Most High if the work that you've given yourself to your people actually lasts. Because if it lasts, more than likely you were selfless in the developing and nurturing of that spirit. And if you were selfless in the development of that spirit and it lasts, you'll get a reward from the Most High for your commitment to developing that person. Read on.
Verse 15. If any man's work shall be burned, he shall suffer loss, but he himself shall be saved, yet so as by fire.
All it's saying is, through the Most High's grace, He gives us continual opportunities to make right what we've lost. Meaning, there's been many brothers who sat back here and made poor decisions as husbands, were selfish leaders, selfish brothers, and they lost a generation of men, and that's on them. But through Christ's grace, they have a chance to redeem themselves with the next generation. And you can be saved through your works if you figure it out and learn the lesson from your last set of mistakes. So the beauty about Christ, He gives us second chances to make things right. Listen, with that first group you ran off, can you really fix it? What's done is done. And you got to live with what you made the mistakes in. But He gives us a second chance with the next batch of people the Most High gives you responsibility of. That's the process. Does that make sense, everybody? Let that go. We go to Romans 14, verse 19 through 21.
Romans chapter 14, verse 19. Let us therefore follow after the things which make for peace, and things wherewith one may edify another.
He says our focus. We should be following after tactics, approaches, methodologies that will help build another person up. That's what we should be studying on. Mm-hmm. When you study, you should be focusing on studying, obviously, so you can learn, and studying when you got to study and teach your rip, you got to teach brothers. When you got to teach class, make your study and focus about how I can build somebody up, not how I can tear them down. Not how I can sit back here and make a person feel inadequate or weakened or full of doubt. That's not the mentality that we should be using.
Or just lashing out.
Or just lashing out.
Listen, this be a buck. There's temper tantrums. There's lashing out. That's real.
Yep.
There's such thing as this person offended me personally.
Yep.
There's such thing as that. You've offended the Spirit of the Most High, so I'm going to teach you. Because you offended the Spirit, then there's you offended me. I make sure I get my lick back. Because I was personally offended at your conduct.
Yep.
And that intention doesn't yield the best fruit.
It yields bad fruit. So our focus should be on how we can build others up. Read on.
Verse 20. For meat destroyed not the work of the Most High. All things indeed are pure, but it is evil for that man who eateth with offense.
So think about this. What he's saying is, he's like meat or the liberties we choose to embark on. He says, meat doesn't destroy the work of the Most High. But all things indeed are pure. But it is evil for a man who eateth with offense. So what am I trying to say? I can't partake in this work and think that how my ways, if my ways are offensive to another person.
To the Spirit.
And to another person.
Yeah.
That's how my works are diminished in the eyes of the Heavenly Father. It's not necessarily what you do. It's who you do it to. You ever notice you can act a certain way with one person and nobody responds negatively? But if you talk a certain way to somebody else, it's highly offensive.
Yeah, you're on eggshells.
Right? I can talk with a level of vulgarity to somebody, and it's okay. But if I talk that same way to somebody else, it's offensive. So what is the Most High teaching you? Just because it's okay for this person doesn't mean it's okay for that person. So you better, who has to make the adjustment? The teacher or the person who's offended? It's you. That's how you build somebody. Who has to walk on the eggshells? You got to walk on the eggshells. But the problem is, Israel, in our pride and in our scripture knowledge, we don't think that the leader has to sit back and make the adjustments. We come off like the student has to make the adjustments. You see where that ego comes in? So that's how, if I'm in a council and I'm listening to a sister and she's completely walking on eggshells and in fear, and this guy can be bold and reckless like crazy, there's something wrong with that. Does that mean the wife should be disrespectful and bold like that? No. And that a husband should be sitting back here in fear of his rib? No. That's not what I'm saying either. A wife has to have the ability to respect and fear her husband, but not to the point where this guy's actions are offensive and destructive and she's operating in fear like that. That's not how we should be operating. Whether it's with ribs, brothers, children. What's that? Did you hand it? Oh, I thought I saw you hand it.
Oh, it's not. I just said that's not conducive.
It's not conducive to actually building somebody up.
Same way with parental approaches. Teaching approaches, parental approaches, even business approaches. Yeah, customers that we're slow on our products, and we're forgetting to get what they need. What adjustment do I have to make in my sading and service to the client?
Mm-hmm.
What do I have to do to make the business better for the client? It's the same way with the people we're dealing with.
And that's all I'm saying. I'm not talking about the leader has to sit back here and compromise right from wrong for anybody. It's not about compromise right or wrong for nobody. But the thinking that we have to break is this mentality of I can just be whoever I am and everybody else got to adjust to all my poor habits.
Those are bad leaders.
Those are horrible leaders. Those are leaders whose works will not be acknowledged by the Most High.
And those are bad businesses, and those are bad parental situations.
Yep.
Every element has the same common theme. We get mad at Jerry Jones because he won't adjust what he's doing now, and the Cowboys keep losing now.
Yep.
I'm a Cowboys fan, and every year I know I'm going to lose.
Yep.
But you know what? He's going to keep being that little. He loves that vibration of he's looking. I'm looking down. I'm in this white box with this glass. I'm making a phone call. Hey, brother's play. He loves that. He loves that calling that play out. Why don't you let the coach be the coach out? Let him figure it out. Because while you call his plays, he has to adapt to you because you're the CEO.
Yeah.
That's what your title says. So he has to sit here and adapt to you. But he can't do what he needs to do. And then when something goes wrong, whose fault is it? It's the coach. Well, we're the same way with us, the student.
Or even like I was watching on YouTube. It says why Pizza Hut fell.
Yeah.
And I was like, besides the fact that it's super greasy pizza, let me think. They were just explaining that Pizza Hut had a 70s approach to their dine-in process. That the foundation of Pizza Huts was sitting back in this dine-in. Remember, they're just the old Pizza Hut structures.
Yeah.
There were people in the 70s and early 80s. They would just go home. They wouldn't be cooking. So they bring all their family to the restaurant. They have their pizza and their salad bar, and just that approach got outdated. And then Domino's on these other spots, they just had we're gonna focus on just deliveries, and then Pizza Hut never really adapted, and they were just behind, and just kept being behind. And you look up, now they're a dinosaur of a corporation. I drive down to Pizza Hut, nobody's there. Nobody's literally in the building.
Yeah.
So that approach just fell apart. What am I trying to say? The lack of adaptability, the lack of adaptability,
Yes.
the adaptability to the customer or to the student is the downfall of the teacher all the time, or the business ownership.
Yeah.
If you don't make adaptation how you do things, you're going to lose your student. We're supposed to serve the student as much as the student is supposed to lock into the teacher. But that's how you build. Okay. Yes.
And another word for that term for that is adding talents.
Yeah.
Because over time, and process of time in searching for answers, A wise man seeketh to answer. What happens? You start getting more spiritual talents.
Mm-hmm.
The Most High starts revealing different ways to touch different students.
Yep.
And benefit different students.
Well, let's continue.
1 Corinthians 14:21. It is good neither to eat flesh, nor to drink wine, nor anything whereby thy brother stumbleth.
But what is Paul saying again? The right way to do it is not to do anything that will make your brother weak. If the motto about what it takes to develop a brother, if you go into any type of marriage, any type of development of a child, development of a brother, if your first thought is, man, I have to make sure that nothing I do will become a stumbling block for this person. If you do that, then you'll be a great teacher. But the problem is, when we teach, we're fixated on telling you what we want to give you and being the way we want to be while we teach. If we're really going to be dialed into Christ, I got to give you what you need, and that means I got to know you enough to know what you don't need to see, so I don't get that to you. But who is the one that loses more? You got to lose more. That's the point. So we understand the nature of brothers in general. We know this. As soon as I tell you something that you got to fix, what's the first thing a young brother says?
What about you?
Okay, I'll do that, but I saw you do this before. Right?
Yeah.
And then your first answer is, oh, this person's rebellious. This person's got pride. This person don't want Christ. You know, the problem is what we don't want to do is say, okay, then I'll fix that and I'll eliminate that.
Now it's your excuse.
Now what's your excuse? We don't want to do that. Because now we gotta change. And that's what I meant about the subpar work. I don't want to fix what's inside of me so that I eliminate all the excuses why you can't follow Christ. That's how you build a man up. You build a man, you build a wife, you put a house together by you eliminating all the things that you do that gives another person an excuse to quit. Once you do that, now you open the door for Christ to come in and actually develop that person. But people really don't like to think that way. Because what a person says, I got to sit back and make all these changes just so that they can sit back here and hear the word so that they can grow. That's not worth it. That's a waste of time. Bull. That's not what I signed up for. If you want to do good works, that's what you got to sign up for. Continue. Matter of fact, let that verse go. We're going to jump to the next verse, 1 Corinthians 10 and 23.
Done. 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 23 reads, all things are lawful for me, but all things are not expedient.
Listen, we're going to go to the blue letter Bible and get to that expedient word, because that expedient word hit me up. He said, or really, I wasn't expecting this. Paul said all things are lawful, meaning there's nothing wrong with me doing the certain things that Paul does. But he says everything that he does is an expedient. When you go into expedient and go to the blue letter Bible, give me the first one.
Expedient, blue letter Bible, to bear or bring together.
All things don't bring the body together. So the question is, as I'm doing the things that I'm doing, and I'm free to do it, if I'm doing certain things that aren't necessarily against the law, but it creates division amongst the body, then guess what? I can't do it. If it weakens the body, then I might be able to do it lawfully, but I'm not going to do it because it weakens the body. Why is that so important? Because we use the law as the barometer to do whatever the hell you want to do when you want to do it. Right? This is why Christ and Paul, their examples actually were more rigid than what the law sat back here and taught us. What this is showing us is that Israel used a lot of loopholes to fuel their flesh by using the law to mask their poor behavior that negatively affected so many of our people. Paul is like, listen, just because it's lawful to do doesn't mean that your actions are unifying the church, or unifying the camp. It's unifying your family. It's strengthening your family and strengthening the body of Christ. Just because it's lawful don't mean it's the right move for the people that you're responsible for. That sits back here and makes you really think and consider your actions on a grander scale. Just because I am allowed to do it doesn't mean it's the right time to do this. Doesn't mean it's the right time for me to feed this, even though it's lawful. That's an important thing to be conscious of. Read verse 23 again.
Come. 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 23.
We're here because we're still dealing with what? We're dealing with edifying and building and developing somebody and building somebody up from scratch. Read on.
All things are lawful for me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but all things edify not.
Everything that I do that might be lawful in the scriptures might not be beneficial. It might not build you up. So once again, we have to be conscious about when it says the meat that I might be able to do, he's talking about lawful things that I can do, not unlawful things that I can do, that I choose to do. He says there's certain lawful things that I can do that I have to make sure that I don't do it because it might hurt another person that I'm developing. They might not be ready to deal with this lawful thing that I might be allowed to do. It just lets you know what real development is. Real development is not about how many verses I can use to cut you. Real development is about how many things I can curve and change in my life to make your learning process better.
So you're saying there's a bigger picture.
And the bigger picture, the foundation of everything we do should be about how I can develop these people, this brother, this sister, this camp. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying there is a, once again, it's the same concept. When you're young in the truth, you're getting an idea of what this is about, not fully comprehending the process.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's using scripture, he's ripping that dude's mind up. Okay, I got that. I can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, this brother right here is dropping 40 verses of class. I got that. But we're not seeing the detail.
And the thinking that has to come behind, that selfless thinking that has to come behind.
Which is the spirit behind the process.
Yep.
We're looking at the process, but not comprehending the spirit of the process. It's like whipping the kids. You say, I understand, I gotta whoop. I get that. And then your mind stops there.
Mm-hmm.
When, okay, there's a conversation, there's communication, there's understanding, there's the thinking pattern. There's the, okay, before I led up to this spanking situation, I had to, it had to be a process. It couldn't just be off top. Okay, spank off top. No, it had to be a build-up. All right, this person knows now they're feeling the impending doom. Okay, listen, this is the third time we talked about this, bro. Now you gotta get the tail whoop. I don't know what else to say. This now the hammer has to be laid down. But you see how that was more detailed the process versus just offense reaction. It's not the knee-jerk mentality.
Because just because you raise your voice doesn't mean you're emotional. People will sit back and say, "Oh, this person raised his voice. He must be angry."
Yeah.
No, if you're angry, you shouldn't be counseling nothing.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry. Yeah.
And we're just saying there's a finer art to it than just the ABC process that we look at. This youth gives us the outline, but as you mature, you're supposed to learn the depth of what you're seeing.
Okay.
What's the depth of the understanding? Teaching is great, but the depth is, example, God, we have to adapt this. We have to adapt that.
Because the blessing comes from how well you can develop somebody. It's one thing to teach a person, you give them the basic foundation and the knowledge. The work comes in how you develop them from there. How you build them from once they know who they are. Because don't forget, when they were teaching, these people knew they were Jews. So once they know they're Jews, what's the next thing you do? Now you got to build their spirit. And in doing that, you have to be selfless. So let that go. Go to 1 Corinthians 8:1. We're going to start trying to get. We're going to try to get through this as much as possible, man. I don't want to do this next week, man. 1 Corinthians 8:1.
1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 1. Now as touching things offered unto idols, we know that we all have knowledge.
We all have knowledge of how to operate in the world, how the world operated. Read on.
Knowledge puffeth up, but charity edifieth.
He says, in the world, knowledge made you feel like you were something. Knowledge made you feel like you was on a certain level. But the one way to edify and build your spirit up and to build other people's spirit up is how well you sit back here and do what? Give. Giving to the next person is how you grow and how they grow. It's not about puffing you up or building you up on any level. Now, we've gone over that verse a bunch of times, so I'm not going to overly harp on that. Let that go and go to 1 Corinthians 14:3 again. I want to kind of move through this a little bit. This will be the last day we do this. Malignant root will be over today. 1 Corinthians 14:3.
1 Corinthians chapter 14 and verse 3. But he that prophesied speaketh unto men to edification.
So to teach, to be a proper teacher, you're supposed to edify. Read on.
It says exhortation.
We're supposed to build people up and we're supposed to exhort people. So now we're going to focus on the exhortation part. So exhortation means admonishing, encouragement, and incitement. So on part of the building process, part of the developing process is having the capacity to encourage and continue to breed an environment with the people that you're working with to give them hope and belief that there is a solution to what they're going through. It's one thing to give people the law, right? You know the challenge with people a lot of times need to know what I need to do to get out of this rut. Because, listen, you can sit back here and give a person a scripture and a class is about how to fix their battle. How many times does that work? All it does, given the classes, and I'm glad you're honest with that, a lot of the class, I'm glad he's saying that none of the stuff we're doing is working for them. No, I'm joking. No. He's like, nothing that y'all brothers is saying 4 days a week is penetrating it all. No. I know you're joking.
It's about soaking it in. It's about taking it in.
No, what it is the classes create dialogue. And that's the truth. The classes create dialogue and sets the tone for counsels and talks after class to help get all the other things needed to help fight what's inside of you. I get what you're saying because it gets your mind running a little bit, but it takes a lot of work to actually slay these issues inside, and it takes a lot of one-on-one talking, a lot of counseling, a lot of trials, tribulations, ups and downs, and mistakes. And in order to do that, it takes a lot of encouragement. It takes a lot of strengthening and re-strengthening, because what's very hard to do is break what's inside of you. What's even harder is to find a motivation every day to go at yourself. That's what teaching is about. On top of the fact that you're supposed to build, how do you build? You have to build a person's motivation to want to go back and fight themselves on a daily basis. How many times, you know your counseling sucks when you're trying to counsel somebody and after you walk off, they have no energy and zeal to fight what's inside of them. That's how you know you're not a good counselor. And you can sit back and pull all the verses that you want, all the Bible verses and stories you want. But if a person ain't leaving fired up and hopeful that they can overcome what's inside of them, then what were you wasting your time about then? You were wasting your time making counsel about you. We're going to go into that. Let's go to Acts 14 and 22.
Acts chapter 14, verse 22. Ready?
Yes, sir.
confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, and that we must through much tribulation.
So he says, confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them. What are we doing? The exhortation was encouraging and admonishing and inciting a desire to do what? To continue in the faith. Read on.
God, and exhorting them to continue in the faith.
But what does continuing in the faith mean? Read on.
It says, and that we must through much tribulation enter into the kingdom of the Most High.
So what does this beautifully written verse mean? Paul and the disciples were encouraging and firing up other brothers to stay motivated to embrace this tribulation and face these battles. Don't forget what was happening at Lyceum at this time, in Iconium. They got stoned to death. Paul got stoned to death. He was brought back up, came out of it blooded and bruised, and came back teaching everybody to encourage them and to exhort them to get confidence in continuing to face life and death situations. Because when people were teaching Christ back then, the message of Christ was going against all the financial systems in the countries they were at. Remember, the idol makers were losing money? It was big business to push idolatry. So anybody going against idolatry, the people making money in the city were losing money. So they were targets to get killed. They were. So these guys were getting stoned in these cities. So Paul was convincing people and exhorting them to have courage and fight their fears and fight their battles, even though it might cost them their life. That's what exhortation is. The ability to convince and motivate your people to fight what's inside of them so that they can grow. This is what we're supposed to be doing to our people. Finding it in the scriptures and in your teaching, in your word, in your example, to give people something to feed off of so they can keep fighting. I've seen from experience the best way to do that is through your example and through your day-to-day commitment. Your day-to-day sacrifice helps to exhort people to keep fighting themselves. But that's another way of building your people up. That's another way of teaching. The first part of the class, dealing with the edifying, was more about the psychological thought it takes to what do I have to remove out of my spirit to get you to sit back here and fight more. And the second part, the exhortation, is what spiritual strengths can I really pull out in me to the forefront to get you to sit back here and fight more. So the first part of it, the edifying part, what do I got to remove? What habits of mine do I have to remove so that you'd fight and that you'd grow and build? And the second part is, what spiritual elements do I have to sit back here and push to the forefront to get you to fight and to get you to be the best person you can be? So I have to remove my bad habits and build up all of my strong spiritual habits so that you can feed off of them and you can fight to be strong. That's what Esau says about establishing, creating the right culture in your environment. If you establish the culture of accountability, then the people around you will be accountable. If you push the culture of consistency, then people will be consistent. So whatever you establish in your home or your school environment, people will feed off that energy you bring to the table. Eliminating bad habits and really emphasizing good spiritual habits. Those are the best ways you can teach your people. That's what teaching is. Does that make sense? Continue. That's all of that verse, right?
Yes.
Let that verse go and go to Acts 11 and 23.
Acts 11 and 23. Who, when he came and had seen the grace of the Most High, was glad, and exhorted them all, that with purpose of the heart they would cleave unto the Lord.
He says they were exhorted that with purpose of mind they would cleave unto the Most High. This is what we're sitting back here. Our job is to exhort. We have to exhort and motivate people mentally to cleave to the Heavenly Father. We have to convince people that it's okay to give everything you got. We have to convince people that it's okay to sit back here and give everything you got and you still got more to give. I'll never forget in workouts. We used to work out in Albuquerque. And the one thing I hated about working out in Albuquerque is that they wouldn't tell us how long the workout was going to be. I hated that. I hated that. It's like, bro, is it going to be an hour? Is it going to be 30 minutes? Or are we going to be, okay, it always showed with a run. It was going to be a mile? Was it going to be 2 miles? And then after the run, was it going to be bear crawls after that? And if it was going to be bear crawls after that, were we going to bear crawl to the 50-yard line? Or the whole field? What was it going to be? I don't know. But why did that mess me up? Because in my head, if I knew how long the workout was going to be, I could pace myself. Right? Because that's the nature of our people, is to pace ourselves too. So if I didn't know how long it was going to be, I couldn't pace myself. I had to just keep pushing. And it was important for me to learn that, because I had to learn that I had enough in the tank to finish it anyway. There was a form of exhortation. It's the same way with our people now. Can we sit back here and convince our people that you can give it all up and you're not going to lose out by doing it? Whether it's at the mall. Can you sit back here and teach a man to give it all he's got at the zone and max himself out, and he still has enough to go home and teach his household? Can you convince a brother that you can go ahead and max yourself out in a labor job and you still have time to study at home? Because a lot of Israelites think you can't grind and be physically active and still have time to give your mind to the Lord. A lot of us think we can't do this hard work
It's the either
and
or
study. So let me go study
Yeah.
and then be poor because I don't have enough time to work. That's the thinking. Somebody has to sit back here and say, no, you can do both. I'm going to show you through work in the program that there's time to do both. The one thing that there is no time for is what? You. There's no time for you. Well, there is time to grind and study and take care of your household. There's just no time for you. But there is a form of exhortation that as a camp, that as a body, you have to work out and teach. And then you start putting demands. And then the people don't realize, I can do both. I just told myself I couldn't do it.
Limiting beliefs that we impose upon ourselves.
And our job is to exhort one another every day to let a person know that it can be. You can push yourself more. You can't sit back here and grind for the body, sweat, be beat up, still have enough energy to focus and study and learn the scriptures, and then still when you get time, get in that book and dig in that book and study and find more. There is time for all of it. You just got to see an example in people around you that have bought into that belief. And if they have bought into that belief, eventually you can buy into that belief also. So exhortation is really about creating a culture of work ethic and dedication that other people can start buying into. So when they start buying into it, they are going to grow because they bought into a standard that other people set. So what am I trying to explain? Edification was based upon what? Me removing that negative away from you so that there's no excuse why you can't grow. Exhortation is through communication and your example that gives you the motivation to push beyond more than you thought you could. Both of these sides are still showing you how to build up the person next to you. It is physical examples that we need to feed off of to help us eliminate the weakness in us. But this is how you teach. This is the most effective way to teach and develop. Does that make sense? It's through the eliminating of your bad habits and the reinforcing of as much good work ethic as you can bring to the table to inspire that culture of change in others. Let that verse go and go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3 through 8.
1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3.
Let me get there. Sorry. Okay, read that.
1 Thessalonians 2 and 3. For our exhortation was not of deceit, nor of uncleanness.
So he says, when we exhorted you, there was no uncleanness or lies or deceit behind the motivational tactics we were trying to teach you. Because a lot of people motivate people off false hopes and false premises and false beliefs. I've been around brothers sit back here. I've been around brothers who would sit back here and push prosperity. If you sit back here and you work hard, you're going to get this. You work hard, you're going to get this rib. You work hard, you're going to get this. No, bro. That's not how you push and you exhort.
It's called the carrot on the stick.
Yes.
And that carrot on a stick type of
motivating
and development, for one, isn't always true. Majority of the time it's not true. And for two, it teaches a bad lesson.
Done.
It teaches the lesson of
gain is godliness.
Yeah. And I'll do it only if there's a reward.
Done.
You're training your student, your wife, your children to fight for rewards versus to fight for the love of Christ. And what happens is, in result, when people can't get rewards or they want a different reward, they are going to steer out of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Because now Christ is not offering you a tangible reward now. And so now I've hit a wall on the truth, and they say I can't find the motivation.
We went into this last week.
What do you mean by that?
We went into this last week when the Messiah initially, when he was dealing with Judas, they won some victories and they gained some things.
Yeah.
And then the battles weren't going to be so easy from a certain point on.
Yeah.
So you better be doing it for the right reasons,
Yeah.
or you're going to be upset with no faith.
Yes. I didn't arm you with the next level of faith that you needed, because there'll come a time of truth where you're going to go to war. Maybe, and I'll make these times up, but I've experienced them. 35 years, you ain't getting no blessings. Listen, you ain't getting no blessings, bro.
Yeah.
The blessing was what you learned in class that day.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And can you go through that time period of 3 to 5 years, you're not getting no physical, tangible blessings? You just learn the Bible. A lot of men, they perish in that time period.
And this is why the exhortation should be about getting people to be enthusiastic about their growth, enthusiastic about change, enthusiastic about working on what's inside of them. That's the motivation that we need to hang on if we expect the Most High to honor us long term. So he says our expectation, Paul's exhortation, was not of deceit, nor of uncleanness, nor in guile. Read on.
Nor in guile, but as we were allowed of the Most High to be put in trust with the gospel, even so we speak, not as pleasing men.
So once again, what he's saying is, people that exhort poorly, people that motivate poorly, they're motivating based off pleasing words. That's how you know they're poor leaders. Because a poor leader exhorts based off of giving people gifts and benefits and getting something out the deal. He said, we don't sit back here and exhort that way. We don't exhort pleasing men. We don't exhort with the message and the lies about prosperity. This is how you know Christianity is the way they teach.
What's not
That
correct?
prosperity teaching is false, because it wasn't about prosperity and pleasing men. That was never the message of the Lord. The message of the Lord was to find happiness in service and dedication, and the lessons you gain from that, the lessons, the blessings that come from destroying the ego. That's what it was about. I forgot. I heard this before. They said that prosperity teaching came out in the 70s, and that before that, they came together and said
Charismatic
that
teaching.
that fire and brimstone stuff isn't going to work. We're not going to be able to keep people in the church if we keep doing this. So we got to teach our new teachers to be charismatic teachers and push prosperity versus the fire and brimstone approach. That was really happening in the 70s,
And then
and it destroyed people's conscience of the Heavenly
Yeah.
Father even more. And that was a Christian approach with hopes to gain more people. But in order to gain more people by pleasing them, you lost the spirit of the message. Because the spirit of the message was accountability and happiness through service, not happiness through gain. So he says our exhortation was not about gain and telling you something that you want to hear to motivate you to keep working for the wrong reasons. Read on.
God, even so we speak, not as pleasing men, but the Most High, which trieth our hearts.
So we're supposed to exhort one another to please the Most High, knowing that the Most High is going to sit back here and try us and put us through tribulation to see what our intentions are. So the exhortation is to get us strong enough to embrace the reality that our life is going to be a series of tests to determine how sincere we are to serving Him. That's the kind of exhortation we're supposed to give men. Read on.
Verse 5. For neither at any time used we flattering words, as ye know, nor a cloak of covetousness.
He says we never develop that way. You're not supposed to develop telling people what they want to hear and throwing some bait out here, but not telling the person what you really want out of the whole relationship. That's not what this is about. You got to give people the worst part of the work, the hard part of the work, and teach them how to accept the hard part of the work. That's the exhortation that we're supposed to focus on. That's how we motivate men. You're supposed to motivate your rib that way. You're supposed to motivate brothers to embrace the dedication it takes to please the Heavenly Father, the hard work. Remember we went over a class about Jacob and how Most High loved Jacob's work ethic?
Yep.
And that work ethic is what the Most High loved out of him. And that's what you have to teach men, to embrace work ethic. And to exhort them in that work ethic, not just physical, but spiritual work ethic. This is how you build people. This is how you teach. I know it sounds redundant and it might be whatever, but I'm telling you, if you want to develop a man, develop a child, develop a sister, you have to teach them strength through work ethic and discipline and commitment. But that's not the fun person. This is so when you're reading, read verse 5.
Verse 5. For neither at any time used we flattering words.
That means Paul and the message Paul was given was not the fun message. Paul's message didn't make people laugh, didn't make people comfortable, didn't make people really love change. Because when you're trying to sit back here and get a person to take medicine, there's two ways you can do it, right? I can sit back here and mask it with a bunch of sweetening scenarios, or I can teach a person how to take this medicine and accept that it tastes nasty. But you got to get it down in order for you to survive. What's the best way to develop a person and get somebody to take medicine? The second way. You got to convince somebody that this disgusting taste is necessary. Because if you keep masking good food, what you need that don't taste good, with sweetness, they're going to always look for the sweetness behind the difficult scenario, and you can't always provide that.
Guarantee that.
Or guarantee that you'll have that sweetener for that medication that you desperately need. You're better off training their palate to receive this medicine, as nasty as it tastes. Take it because you need it. That's exhortation. Can I motivate you to take this nasty medicine or this nasty herb every day because it's needed? Can I convince you to take this garlic every day? Can I convince you to take this ginger and this turmeric every day? Can I convince you? Well, that's, you know, but the thing is, if you can convince them that, then you can convince a person to change their diet. Because what's changing their diet all about? You got to cut out sugars. You got to cut out processed food. Got to cut out white flour. Over much carbs. That's almost anything in society.
It becomes a lifestyle.
All it is just slabs of meat and vegetables with a couple with some fruits and maybe a little bit of bread. That's all life is, bro. Anything else is the devil. And then can you convince people that that's what's fire in the streets? And that's the only way. The only way to do that is you have to train, developing a person to embrace how difficult digesting concepts are, and to help somebody not run from the difficulty and hardness of what it takes to change. How you motivate somebody is so important. You don't develop somebody making it easy for them, making it comfortable for them. You're doing a person the greatest disservice, and this is what he's saying. We don't use flattering words under the cloak of covetousness. We're going to sit back here and show you what is necessary to change, and then motivate you and give you the strength to be fired up enough to face it. That's how you build a man. That's how you build up a young man. This is why so many of our young men are chi-chi boys. Because all they do is run up under their mother. Because the mama, her nature is to sit back here and do what? Make it easier for them. And as soon as they're around a man spirit, oh my dad, he's mean. He's so mean. Mean? Either he's mean or you're soft. More than likely, there's some charmin in you. There's some tissue paper in you, man. You're a little soft, man.
It's baby soft.
And that's the problem. But a lot of times, those young men, they're always vibing towards their mama because mama always gives them what they want.
The issue is this.
That's the truth.
You have a time period to be Charmin-like.
Yeah, well, maybe that's when you're a baby. You can be Charmin.
I get that, but I'm saying when we have men that they have to deal with life, and there's no more, that mother can't cover you anymore. The mother can cover you for a certain period of time, but then when they go out into the world, I've dealt with clients like this. The mom will come in the car and she would just cry and cry and cry. So my son's back in jail again. And he get out of jail. He got back with that woman and he's back on this drug. And she cry and cry. Then she come back. And then what happened? How's your son doing? Oh, he's back in jail again. And she would always wear all pink head to toe and buy the same perfume every time. And she would just buy her perfume and cry.
Or he's in jail. Or he's at her house. Mama!
Well, that's
my orange juice. Where my orange juice at? That's my orange juice. I put my name on it. What?
He could never cope with life and standing on his own too, because he always looked for that effeminate covering to protect him from responsibility and the parts of life that aren't so soft and beautiful.
Those are flattering words. That's telling people what they want to hear. Versus what real exhortation is.
Yeah.
Real exhortation is about sitting here and showing a person that they have to embrace hardness, embrace challenges, and on top of teaching a person psychologically to embrace challenges, then the job of the teacher is to motivate that person, to inspire them and fire them up to face those challenges. That's what teaching is. Yes.
They say that the single mother is what makes gangsters.
Yeah. Yeah. And who made the single mother? The system.
That made me thought, but did you think about it?
Yeah.
It's right on.
And that's why those young men, they can't take a check.
Right.
They can't take a person speaking to them with harshness.
Right.
I mean, young brothers that were like single parent homes, but they get kicked off football teams, they get bad grades. As soon as somebody checks them on their actions,
Can't handle it. Can't
they
take it.
get all they moving around. They can't take a check.
And when they're so young, they're so goofy with
Yeah.
it. They're so off balance and goofy with it. But the older they get, the more scarier and dangerous they get.
They're
Because
unstable.
they have no emotional regulation.
Right.
The male factor, the man factor, teaches emotional regulation, where emotions don't matter, logic and practicality matter, and the
Right.
end result matters.
And then a man will sit back here more than likely, not all the times, will sit back here and not allow that young boy to sit back and have excuses for why he can't fight what's inside of him.
That's right.
There's more accountability that comes from the father,
Yeah.
or it should be at least. Some fathers make excuses for their kids all the time too. But the ones who come out right are forced to face the difficult and uncomfortable challenges that life presents them with. And the more they have to face those challenges, the easier fighting that battle becomes.
Right.
But you can do it to your daughters too.
That's right.
Teaching your daughter how to fight their fears, their doubts, their weaknesses, their shortcomings. This is what building a person is all about. Teaching a person to stop running from their battles. What we do is, a lot of teachers' management styles isn't that. I'm going to sit back here, not demand those real changes, and I'm just going to have you show up and I'm going to tell you what you want to hear so I can get something back from you. Those are the poor leaders. Those are the poor teachers. Because, you know, sometimes people are more concerned with numbers than development. So if I'm not worried about numbers, I'm going to sit back and rank people up easy. I'm going to tell you what you want to hear, but destroy you down the line. If I love you, I'm not going to accept bad behavior. And I'm going to drop and demote until people make the changes. But clearly provide the solution on how to rise up again. This is the development style Christ is trying to show us. This is the right way to develop and the right way to teach.
Based off of merit.
Based off of
Teaching
merit.
merit versus really opposite of merit is just
Relationships and what you can give me.
yeah.
Because a lot of people I know a lot of people that sit back here who, based on how well they tied, will get right. Never forget, years ago, boys and men came into the school, man, and they were getting taught for a little bit. Very short time. But they were at the Passover, and they were propped up right next to the elders.
That's horrible.
I'm like, bro, what? Just because they sat back here and said, and saying boys and men and Motown Philly, that don't justify them sitting back here and being right here on the podium with
Right.
general caliber garments. I'm sitting back here in a dry ass gi,
Right.
putting 6 years in. I gotta with these heavy, super heavy, chunky fringes at, struggling at, and these guys sat back here and been in class for like 6 months, and they got general leather at. You know that fancy butter soft leather, it's shiny and multicolored leathers and garments, studs on fire, studs on fleek. And they're sitting back here, the general's table's here, they're right there. I'm like, whoa!
Yeah.
Just because they sang some songs out?
They're in the spirit listening to this. So
Like, come
they sang in the
on,
spirit.
bro. You know what they did? They dropped some bread,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden,
Yeah.
it wasn't, first of all, and it wasn't their fault.
It wasn't them.
They were cool. Like, Sean was cool. I talked to him. He was a cool brother trying to learn the Heavenly Father. But they were done a disservice to sit back here and get propped up like that
Right.
without having them come from the bottom and work their way up and learn the hard way like everybody else gets to learn.
Right.
They were the ones being done a disservice.
Right.
Given the fancy garments and all these special perks because they were something in the world. I thought we teach people that the world was bad. Then why put people here from the world? Why do that? You do it to make yourself look better. So that's my point. Are you going to develop people so that they can grow? Or are you going to use them because what they bring to the table lifts you up?
Right.
That's as an example about the motivation behind your exhortation.
What they can be given.
Let's exhort them that are putting on the line every day by having them sit back here and be where all the new people are. You know what that does? That strengthens everybody else who puts on the line every day to say that it doesn't matter who comes in there. The ones who commit the most get the most respect. Because when you put them here, you're saying that people with the most money and fame get the most respect, not the ones who commit themselves to the Lord.
You can circumvent the work.
You can circumvent the work. And this is why, these are lessons that we saw. And this is why people that don't do what everybody else does can't be on the podium. Because it's not fair. Just because a person's cool and polite and friendly and nice-tempered doesn't justify them being up at the top. If you don't put the work in like everybody else puts the work in, it's not right to be here at the top, reaping the blessings and reaping the benefits. It's not fair. But that's how you properly exhort. That's how you properly encourage and incite the right spirit amongst the body. Does that make sense? Okay, continue.
God,
verse 6. Just give me verse 6.
God, nor of men sought we glory, neither of you, nor yet of others, when we might have been burdensome as the apostles of Christ.
He says, nor of men sought we glory, neither of you, nor yet of others, when we might have been burdensome. All Paul keeps saying is, we have to make sure we're not burdensome on the body. He keeps saying that gold work is all about taking away our burdens that we could bring to the body, so that everybody else's path in the work can be easier and more streamlined if we remove our baggage, our problem, our egos. We remove our egos, it's easier for everybody else to operate optimally. Read on.
God, verse 7. But we were gentle among you.
So he says, because our main focus was not about being burdensome to you, we were gentle amongst. This is what being gentle means. To be gentle around your wife. To be gentle around the brothers. To be gentle around the camp means I'm eliminating all of my negative baggage, my negative outlook, my lack of trust, my lack of trusting nature, my temperament, my pride, my ego. I'm going to remove all of those burdens out the equation and be gentle on you. That's what being gentle is. It's not being soft and delicate like Michael Jackson or something like that. That's not what being gentle means. To be gentle means I'm not going to bring my Negro mentality to developing you. I'm not going to bring my selfish, condescending personality,
my abrasive nature,
to the table when I'm working with you.
Abrasive nature and my foolish, destructive, toxic policies.
Yes.
Because a lot of this is policy problems.
Yes.
People have stupid policies.
Mm-hmm.
And their process or their policy or their personal laws they want people to abide by don't have a positive effect down the line.
These are all facts. So read verse 7 again.
God, verse 7. But we were gentle among you, even as a nurse cherisheth her children.
I love this verse because he says we were gentle like a nurse cherishes her children. Listen, if I have a newborn infant and I'm holding a newborn infant, how are you supposed to act? You better be careful. You can't be sitting back here holding on, walking around like this. You know how fragile that damn neck is?
And being
that baby's neck?
Being cavalier.
You know how fragile that child's body is?
Yes.
You have to be very careful about how you move. Very careful about the steps you take and how you carry yourself and all the things you got going on. This is how we're supposed to be when developing new spirits, when developing your rib, when developing your children. That means you got to choose your words right. Choose how you carry yourself right. You know, if you're tired, am I going to let my tiredness get in the way of my developing this person? Am I going to let my tiredness get in the way of me listening to what this sister got going on? Let me sit back here and put my anger and my frustration to the side so that I can be gentle with this person. All being gentle means is forget how I feel, forget what I'm going through. What does this person need? I got to give the best of me to this person so they can grow. That's what it means where it says Paul was gentle amongst his students like a nurse cherishes her children. That nurse is conscious about what he or she is consuming, how clothed and how clean the child is. The environment has to be sterilized. When you deal with children in child care, toys have to be sterilized. Environment has to be sterilized. The learning environment has to be proper. The food that he or she eats should be really thought about. There's a lot of thought that comes into cherishing a child. There should be a lot of thought that comes with cherishing and developing students, exhorting students, bringing the best out of students.
Because they're spiritual children, isn't it?
They're spiritual children. And that's the point. Read on.
God, verse 8. So being affectionately desirous of you, we were willing to have imparted unto you, not the gospel of the Most High only, but also our own soul.
He says, man, that's a hell of a verse. Read that again.
God, verse 8. So being affectionately desirous of you.
He says, because we love y'all so much, because you guys are the priority. Read on.
We were willing to have imparted unto you.
We're willing to have imparted unto you. Let's get imparted real quick. And I want it in the eighth. No. I'm sorry. The Blue Letter Bible. 1 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 8.
God, imparted.
Yes.
God, Blue Letter Bible. It says, imparted.
Just to impart. What's to impart? Let's get the 1828 impart.
God. Impart. 1828 Webster Dictionary. To give. Grant.
So there we go. So he says, we were willing to give unto you and devote unto you. Now go back to 1 Thessalonians 2 and 8.
God, so being affectionately desirous of you, we were willing to have imparted unto you, not the gospel of the Most High only.
Stop. This is what Israel wants to do. We just want to give you the scriptures. We just want to drop verses and go home and live our life. Paul said, and don't forget, Paul's works was gold works. Right? So if Paul's works was gold works, he said, because we love the body so much, we're going to make sure we teach the information to you. Read on.
Not the gospel of the Most High only, but also our own souls.
He says, we gave our souls to y'all. That's dope. He says, we just didn't give you some scriptures and let y'all be. We gave our whole spirit to you.
It wasn't.
That means whatever y'all needed, we gave you what you needed. Not just what we wanted to give you. Because Israel don't mind dropping a class here and there. But we don't want to give anything else. We don't want to give you your ear. We don't want to give Israel our ear, our time, our free time. The things we want to give.
And devote the core of ourselves to the need.
God.
Because the question you should always ask yourself as a good steward over other spirits is, what does the spirit need and what's missing? And then the question is, what do I gotta do to fulfill that missing element? That's when you know your job's never done. Because someone's always missing something.
Bro, when it said your own soul,
yeah,
it said the vital force which animates the body. We've talked about this. You're giving your life force to people.
Yeah.
You ever you give and you counsel and you're just completely zapped. You have nothing left in the tank. He says that's what you're supposed to give your people. On top of the breakdowns. And then if we're supposed to do that to brothers, you ain't supposed to deal with your wife and kids? Yes. But in order to do all that, guess who don't get nothing?
You.
Thank you. You get the, you know what you get? You get the consolation prize. The consolation is the knowledge that this is the will of Christ. And that is gold work. It's clear as day. Y'all understand? But that's what exhortation is. Because to truly exhort somebody is you're giving your soul to somebody else so they have a chance to fight their battle, to learn how to fight their battle, to learn how to eventually get a hold and get control over the evil in them. And they won't be equipped with what it takes to overcome themselves if you don't give them that.
They won't have that missing. People have missing elements.
And if you don't give them your soul, they won't have enough to continue moving forward. But once again, you're supposed to give this level to who? The godly. If the people that want to sit back here and come and just give 1, 2, 3 and just show up whenever they want and leave, they don't get that. They get the Bible. They get the first part, the gospel. The ones who sit back here and commit their soul requires your soul.
That's a good exchange.
That's a fair exchange. We're not supposed to be sitting back giving our soul to people who just want to take and not give nothing. They get the gospel. They get the parables. Didn't Christ do that to the people? Christ was like 1 fish, 2 fish. Red fish, blue fish. Study on that. Think about that. Meditate on that. Then he said, yeah, disciples, this is what this means, man.
To you,
because you gave your soul to me, I'm going to give you my soul and give you the real understanding.
To you it is given. To them it is not given.
But you know what the crazy thing is? Yeah. The Jews that got the parables didn't say, oh, the Most High is not fair, or Christ ain't fair. Christ gives the disciples more than us. I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel loved and appreciated and accepted around Christ. Because Christ gives me parables and gives them more. But that's what the Jew does in Israel. Yep. Right? The Jew that gives 20% is mad that they're giving 20% in counsel. They are. How come I don't get what they get? Because they give more. It's very simple. It's fair.
That's equality.
If you're not putting nothing in, why do we have to go crazy and break our necks for people who don't appreciate it like that? It's not personal. You're still getting the gospel, right? Why do you want more? What do you want out of it? Why do you want so much? Don't you think it's an inequitable exchange? You don't think that? Yeah, you know it's inequitable, but you still want it. Because a lot of Jews sits back here, they want that one-on-one so they can power up like Voltron at, or some damn Super Saiyan stuff. They're like, Kamehameha, whatever they want to call that stuff. They want to power up and go live their life for 8 months. And then come back and power for more Jew juice, Jew council juice, and then go live their life. And then be selfish again. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying the same point. Same point, though. It's just that.
Anyway, so
it's fair.
That verse 8 is potent, and it's a reminder of how we're supposed to be in embracing
commit the soul.
Contact. So let's go to 2 Ezra chapter 1. That's a really good verse. That last verse is strong. Golly. 2 Ezra chapter 1, verse 28 through 30.
Second Ezra chapter 1 and verse 28.
Read that, sir.
Got it. Second Ezra chapter 1 verse 28. Thus saith the Almighty Lord, have I not prayed you as a father his sons, as a mother her daughters, and a nurse her young babes?
He's like, the way the Most High has developed us or prayed with us or worked with us is like a father does his sons, and a mother her daughters, and a nurse her young babes. We just read in 1 Thessalonians chapter 2 and 7 that the way that Paul took the mentality of developing us was to be gentle like a nurse cherishes her children. Where do you think Paul got this approach from? From Ezra. A lot of what Paul teaches comes from Christ, Isaiah, and Ezra. He pulls a lot from these concepts. But he's saying that if the Most High developed this way, shouldn't this be how we work with one another? This is what he's saying. Read on.
Verse 29. That ye will be my people.
So he says, in order to win Israel and to convince them to be his people, that's the level of love that the Most High had to do for us. He had to treat us like his sons, or a mother like her daughter, or a nurse like to her children. He says that level of energy and effort is what's necessary to do what?
That ye will be my people.
To convince us to serve him. That's what teaching is. It is that much of exertion to invest into somebody else so that they would be convinced to commit their lives back to the work. Read on.
God. And I shall be your power, that ye would be my children, and I shall be your father.
So he says, in order for Israel to sit back and embrace the Most High as his father, the Most High put all of this into us, all of this attention and spirit into us, with the anticipation that we reciprocate that love and embrace being that son to the Heavenly Father. Are you seeing how much energy and effort has to come from the leader first before you get back anything? And what you're giving out is far more than what you're returning back. That exchange is a godly exchange, is a gold exchange. Read on.
God, verse 30. I gathered you together.
And then once again, the process of gathering together is all the work that you have to put in and invest to receive that love and respect back. He says, I gathered together. Read on.
As a hen gathereth her chickens under her wings.
Didn't Christ pull this same verse?
Yeah.
He pulled that same verse in Matthew 23.
Right.
He said, I gathered y'all like a hen gathers her chickens together. So where do you think Christ got that from? He got it from Ezra. He's saying the same thing that Paul is saying. It's the level of exertion that the leader or the hen or the father or the mother has to overly exert to protect and to strengthen the student. They keep saying that leader has to sit back here and protect the student, guard the student, invest into the student. And that investment is way more one-sided than we like to accept. When you're developing that rib, you're going to give more than you get. And can you accept that what you're putting into it is going to be more than what you receive back for a long period of time? What you give into that brother, you're going to give more than what you get back. If you can accept that exchange, now you understand what teaching is all about. Now you're going to end up being a good teacher. Read on.
God, it says, I gathered you together as a hen gathers her chickens under her wings. But now, what should I do unto you? I will cast you out of my face.
But he said, because we didn't receive all of the efforts that the Most High was trying to give to us to convince us for us to be his father or his son. He said, I'm just going to cast you away. Because I keep giving and I keep giving to you and you don't receive it. You don't appreciate it. You don't give back. This is after constant effort that we didn't appreciate. But that dynamic, he's trying to show us the level of input that you got to put into somebody, into a spirit, into the cultivating of the land, before you gain anything back. Even with the spirit of cultivating land. And we read, you can't even begin. When you plant a new tree, you can't get the fruits for what?
7 years.
It was 5 years.
Oh, 5 years.
you don't get the fruits for 5 years. He's letting you know when you develop a spirit, you're going to be losing for a long time before you see that output that you're expecting. Does that make sense?
God.
He's showing us the spirit of what it takes to teach. Let that verse go and go to 2 Corinthians 11. 2 Corinthians 11, verse 1 through 7.
2 Corinthians chapter 11. Would the Most High you could bear with me a little in my folly, and indeed bear with me. For I am jealous over you with godly jealousy.
So listen, what is Paul saying? That Paul was jealous or protective over his students. Okay, read on.
Because I have espoused you to one husband, that I may present you as a chaste virgin to Christ.
So what is Paul saying? His only focus is to sit back here and create an example and an environment that convinces us to only have one master, and that's the Lord, that's Christ. It's to create an environment and motivation to get us fired up in pursuing only Christ. Read on.
But I fear, lest by any means, as the serpent beguiled Eve through his subtlety, so your mind should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in Christ.
And what he's saying is, Paul is trying to create this environment to keep us solely focused on Christ, but he can't control every aspect of the environment. And his concern is in the things he can't control, what you do at home, what you're giving yourself to in the markets and everything else. He can't control what you do outside of the sphere of influence he has. And he's concerned that with all the work he's doing to convince you to embrace serving Christ the right way, you're going to get caught sitting back here getting caught with other influences that's going to weaken you and start competing with your soul love for the Heavenly Father. Because our job is to try to corral Israel to where their only motivation is pleasing Christ. But what's in competition in that development and that nurturing approach is all these other pulls. Lust, pride, ego, the things you want to do in your life. These things are competing with that one focus Paul was trying to give to his students. Read on.
Verse 4. For if he that cometh preacheth another Yahushua, whom we have not preached, or if ye receive another
When it says
spirit,
a person is preaching another Yahushua, another method, another approach to how to get to Christ. And more times than not, the other approach is the easier approach.
Every time.
The approach that requires less commitment. The approach that requires less dedication. The approach that requires less humility and discipline. If a person is teaching another Christ, watering down the commitment and discipline it takes, and implementing more comfort and ease. There was, if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to go back and double check this. When you read about the Nicolaitans in Revelations, the Nicolaitans taught more about prosperity. And that Christ isn't about sitting back here and losing and suffering. Christ is about gain. Doesn't that sound like another major religion that pushes gain is godliness and gain is most I want you to be prosperous? He says those Nicolaitans are teaching another what? Christ. They're teaching that, thinking that, hey, you don't have to suffer and sacrifice and dedicate and put yourself last and be a servant. You can sit back and live for you and get rewarded. And it's acceptable in Christ's eyes. So when Paul is like saying, listen, man, if there's people teaching another Christ, read on.
for if he that cometh preacheth another Christ, whom we have not preached, or if you receive another spirit, which ye have not received, or another gospel, which ye have not accepted, ye might well bear with him.
Read on.
For I suppose I was not a whit behind the very chiefest apostles.
He's just saying, listen, man, my works prove that I've been with the very chiefest of the apostles. So if his example was of the chiefest of the apostles, why are you going to look for this easier solution, this easier teaching of Christ, this watered down message of Christ? Because really, when you want to look from camp to camp, listen, Christ is being taught all around the United States, all around the world. The only difference is the level of expectation, the level of discipline, and the level of accountability. It differs from camp to camp.
Demand.
The demand for discipline and humility and order and dedication, that's what differs. Work ethic, commitment. And this is what Paul is trying to protect his congregation from. Falling prey to other camps and schools that teach a watered down version of Christ.
Like the Nicolaitans.
Like the Nicolaitans and other groups that were like him. The groups that sat back here and were happy when Paul was arrested. Because when Paul was arrested, that was their way of saying, hey, our way works. I wasn't thrown in jail. Paul was thrown in jail. That means he was wrong. So if I want to hear the real gospel, y'all need to come to me. There was different teachers doing the same thing Israel does now.
It was camp banging then.
It was camp banging. Exactly.
Going on today.
Exactly. You know, the truth is, if you're the smart play will be going to the school that demands the most discipline, order, humility, sacrifice. That you're safer off with that than sitting back here going to the school that tells you what you want to hear and gives you the most freedom. In certain schools, all you got to do is show up on Saturdays, man, and you're good. That's no bueno. But let's continue.
Verse 6. Though I be rude in speech, yet not in knowledge.
So my words might not be as put together as this other schools, but the knowledge and the demand and the exhortation is second to none. Read on.
But we have been thoroughly made manifest among you in all things.
Done.
Have I committed an offense in abasing myself that you might be exalted?
That's the point I'm driving.
Yeah.
Listen, man.
Is that wrong for that?
A great teacher, great leadership, and the patterns that we should be following is, are you going to abase yourself, put yourself last, so that the student can be exalted? That's gold caliber work. When you sit back here and you're abased, you're losing, you're not getting what you want out the deal because your energy and your resources and your time is going to benefit somebody else. Hold this verse and go to St. John 3:30.
John chapter 3, verse 30.
Read it.
He must increase, but I must decrease.
Listen, and that's not necessary in context, because it was talking about John the Baptist has to decrease so Christ can increase. But the point still remains: when you're developing somebody has to decrease, and the other person increases. The question is, what position are you going to take? Are you going to take the position of decreasing so that the student can increase? Or is the student going to decrease and the head increase? What's the thinking you grab? Now, reading what Paul said in 2 Corinthians 11, read verse 7 again.
2 Corinthians 11:7. Have I committed an offense in abasing myself that you might be exalted?
So what did Paul do? Paul decreased so that the student can what? So that the people he was committed to could increase. That's gold caliber teaching. That's gold caliber development. So for those of us who has aspirations of leading, that's why we're here. Take that mentality home when you want to teach your wife. Take that mentality when you're sitting back here on the truck with the brothers. Take that mentality when you're at the mall with the brothers. Take that mentality when you're working with brothers day to day. Take that mentality when you're at the brother's house. Take that mentality when you're dealing with your child. Take that mentality when you're teaching your nation and you'll get better responses, you'll get better growth, and your people would actually progress forward and not be stunted by your pride and your ego. We didn't get to finish it, but I don't know, man. I don't know if we're going to go and do this next week. I'll figure it out. The water for tuning in, y'all. It's getting late. I'll see y'all on Saturday, but Shalom Shalom's got y'all on Wednesday. The water, shalom.
Shalom.